Gauri Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we'll go through the presentation called Attachment. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam. So I've put together a few verses of what Bhagavatam is telling us from Canto 1 to 3 about attachment. And we begin with Lord Kapila Dev's teachings in Canto 3, chapter 32, text 16. Yetva iha shakta manasaha karmashu shraddhayanvitaha kurvanti aprati siddhani nityani apicha kritsnashaha. Persons who are too addicted to this material world execute their prescribed duties very nicely, and with great faith they daily perform all such prescribed duties with attachment to fruit and result. So this is majority of the world, all of us, so engrossed in our prescribed duties and attached to the result. We attach to getting maybe name, fame, prestige, honor, different results that each of us might be attached to. Then Lord Kapila Dev goes on to say that such people, they don't engage in devotional service. They may perform some sort of worship to ancestors, or they may perform some sort of worship to the demigods, but all of it is with the aim of sense gratification. So they're worshipping, but the reason they are worshipping is because of sense gratification. The attached householder remains in his family life, which is full of diplomacy and politics, always spreading miseries and controlled by acts of sense gratification. He acts just to counteract the reactions of all his miseries. And if he can successfully counteract such miseries, he thinks that he is happy. So we can see, we in the material world, in material life, we take great pains to maintain our families. In the course of maintaining our families, we have to undergo various miseries. Everything, life happens, we say. Everything is not so smooth. And yet we try to maintain the status quo with great struggle. Krishna calls it karshati in Bhagavad Gita. Manasasthani indriyani, that we are trying to enjoy the material world with our senses. And in that bargain, there is this karshati, the struggle for material existence. And then we think we are very happy. We think, oh, I have mitigated this misery, and so now I'm really happy. And so life passes by. And then in this way, he comes under the clutches of death and lies down, surrounded by lamenting friends and relatives. And although he wants to speak with them, he no longer can, because he is under the control of time. So the attached householder, his entire life passes by, and now it's time for him to leave the body. Thus, the man who engaged with uncontrolled senses in maintaining a family dies in great grief. Seeing his relatives crying, he dies most pathetically in great pain and without consciousness. So this is because death has to come. It's not that it's not going to happen to us. It is going to come one day. And for those of us who are just engaged in sense gratification, we don't know what's happening. The relatives don't know what is happening. So there is so much pain, so much lamentation going on. And then what happens once the attached householder leaves the body? After leaving this body, the man who maintained himself and his family members by sinful activities suffers a hellish life, and his relatives suffer also. Lord Kapila Dev says, Evam kutumbam biprana udaram bhara evava visrejyo bhayam pretya bhukte tatphalam edrasham. That he maintained himself in this life uh, by, by just sense gratification. And so after he leaves the body, the destination is in the hellish planets. The Yamadutas are the ones those who come to take him. And the Yamadutas are taking him where? To the hellish planets. Having gone through all the miserable hellish conditions and having passed in a regular order through the lowest forms of animal life prior to human birth, and having been thus purged of his sins, one is reborn again as a human being on this earth. So after we are punished in this hellish planets, then we are put into bodies of dogs and hogs. Then again with the evolution, the cycle, then we keep getting higher and higher bodies, and finally again we are put in the body of a human being on this earth to again create new karma. So this cycle continuously goes on and on. We are attached to the material world. We engage in sense gratification. It leads us to hellish planets, gives us suffering, puts us in the body of animals. And again, then with the cycle of evolution, then gradually from animal life to higher beings, again we are born as human beings, and again we do the same thing. So this circle goes on because of our attachment to the material. Sorry. So Lord Kapila Dev then says, Cheta kalabhasya bandhaya muktaye chatmano matam guneshu shaktam bandhaya ratam apumsi muktaye. So when our consciousness is attached to the gunas, to the three modes of material nature, that is material life. But the same attachment, if we can transfer it, the consciousness, if we can transfer it to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then that opens the door of liberation. So we can see that the consciousness, it's so important. Where do we attach it to? Are we attaching it to the material, to the three modes of nature, or are we attaching it to the Supreme Lord? Then how can we give up material attachment? Only if we can have attachment to the Supreme Lord. Srila Prabhupada says that in the purport of 33, 20, and 22. He says, unless we are able to transfer our attachment to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, there is no possibility of becoming freed from material attachment. And Lord Kapila Dev goes on to say, Prasangam ajaram pasham atmana kavayo viduhu sa eva sadhu shukrito moksha dwaram apavratam. Every learned man knows very well that attachment for the material is the greatest entanglement of the spirit soul. But the same attachment, when applied to the self-realized devotees, opens the door of liberation. So where do we place our attachment to? We need to place our attachment to the self-realized devotees, because that is the way that is going to get us liberation. We just heard that if we are attached to the material, if we are attached to the sense gratification, then we are continuously going to be here in the material world, sometimes being born in the bodies of animals, and sometimes as human beings. And that cycle keeps repeatedly going on. But if we really want to get out of the material world, then we need to transfer this attachment to the devotees. To the devotees. So when we Narad Muni There is, in Bhagavatam, we have this very great example of Narad Muni. He was the son of a maidservant, and he was just a small boy. And these sadhus, they came to his ashram during the 4 months of the Chaturmasya, and he got attached to them. He got attached. He said, I was very much attached to those sages. I was gentle in behavior, and all my sins were eradicated in their service. In my heart, I had strong faith in them. I had subjugated the senses, and I was strictly following them with body and mind. Tasyaivam me anuraktasya prashritasya hatainashaha shraddadhanasya balasya dantasya no charasya cha. So Narad Muni, just a small boy, but somehow the other, he got attached to them and he got faith in them. Then he started following their instructions. This is his personal example that he's speaking about to Srila Vyasadeva. He goes on to say that because he was so attached to them and he was rendering service to them, then they gave him the instructions into the most confidential knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna also says in Bhagavad Gita 4.34, Tatvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshayanti te jnanam jnaninas tattva darshinaha. Krishna says to Arjuna that you go, you approach the Tattvadarshi with humility. Approach him with humility and inquire, serve him, and input inquiry to him submissively. And the Tattvadarshi will show you the truth because he has seen the truth. So this is what Narad Muni did. Narad Muni got attached to the devotees. He rendered some menial service to them and he attracted their mercy. And what happened? They instructed him in the most confidential knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. By that confidential knowledge, Narad Muni goes on to say that he could clearly understand the influence of the energy of Lord Sri Krishna, the creator, maintainer, and annihilator of everything. By knowing that, one can return to him and personally meet him. So the sages, they had instructed Narad Muni in the science of devotional service. And because Narad Muni was so attached to them, he followed their instructions. He followed their instructions faithfully and sincerely. And as a result, he could see Krishna face to face, personally. That is the result if we can follow the instructions of our spiritual master with sincerity, with faith, then this is, we will be able to see Krishna face to face, personally meet him. Narad Muni goes on to say, Etat samshuchitam brahmam stampatraya chikitsitam yad ishvare bhagavati karma brahmani bhavitam. O Brahmana Vyasadeva, it is decided by the learned that the best remedial measure for removing all troubles and miseries is to dedicate one's activities to the service of the Supreme Lord, Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. So Narad Muni is saying that devotional service is the highest perfection. By engaging in devotional service, all our miseries will be removed. And we can go back home, back to Godhead, because that is the eternal activity of the soul. He goes on to say, Evam nirnam kriya yoga sarve samsriti hetavaha ta evadma vinashaya kalpante kalpita pare. Thus, when all a man's activities are dedicated to the service of the Lord, whose very activities which caused his perpetual bondage become the destroyer of the tree of work. So we can see if we can work for the service of Krishna. when we are working for our sense gratification, that work is keeping us here in the material world. But that same work, if we can dedicate it for the service of Krishna, then that work can get us out of this material world. The work which caused his perpetual bondage become the destroyer of the tree of work. This is what Narad Muni is telling to Srila Vyasadeva. That's an instruction to us. So Srila Prabhupada goes on to say in the purport of this verse, the summary is that one has to first of all seek the association of pure devotees who not only are learned in the Vedanta, but are self-realized souls and unalloyed devotees of Lord Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. In that association, the neophyte devotees must render loving service physically and mentally without reservation. So Shushrusho Shadhanasya Vasudeva Katharuchi Shyan Mahat Sevaya Vipra Punya Tirtha Nishevana. So when we are engaging, when we can engage in the service of these pure devotees, what happens is this service attitude will induce the great souls to be more favorable in bestowing their mercy, which injects the neophyte with all the transcendental qualities of the pure devotees. Gradually, this is developed into a strong attachment to hearing the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. Shanvatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridi Antastohi Abhadrani Vidunoti Sruhit Satam. When we are hearing the pastimes of the Lord within the heart, He personally removes the material desires in our heart. Then gradually this is developed, which makes him able to catch up the constitutional position of the gross and subtle bodies, and beyond them the knowledge of the pure soul and his eternal relation with the Supreme Soul, the personality of Godhead. After the relation is ascertained by establishment of the eternal relation, pure devotional service to the Lord begins gradually developing into perfect knowledge of the personality of Godhead beyond the purview of impersonal Brahman and localized Paramatma. So, Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Neshtiki. By regularly hearing the Bhagavatam, rendering service into the Bhagavat, whatever is all the abhadrani, all the impure, inauspicious abhadreshu, all the inauspicious things within the heart get destroyed, and transcendental loving service is established as an irrevocable fact. And then by such Purushottam Yoga as it is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, one is made perfect even during the present corporeal existence, and one exhibits all the qualities of the Lord to the highest percentage. Such is the gradual development by association of pure devotees. So when this loving service is established in the heart, tada rajas tamo bhava kama lobhadaschaye cheta eter anaviddam sthitam sattve prasidati. The heart, the nature's effects of passion and hankering and lust and desire, they disappear from the heart, and the devotee becomes completely happy. Evam prasanna manaso bhagavad bhakti yogatah bhagavad tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayate. So then the person whose mind is completely established in pure goodness, he understands the knowledge of God, and he becomes completely happy. He gets liberated from material association. So we can see that how by getting attached to the devotee, when one can when one does some service to the devotee, then one gets this desire to hear about the Lord. And the desire becomes greater. Then we serve. We serve the devotee, we are serving the Lord, and the Lord in the heart removes all the material desires from the heart of the devotee. So Srila Prabhupada is a very great example for this. Srila Prabhupada, he got attached to the instruction of his Guru Maharaj. Attachment to the devotee, we can serve the devotee in two ways, by Vapu or Vani, by personally serving them or serving the instruction. Srila Prabhupada got the instruction from his Guru Maharaj to present the Bhakti Shastras in the English language. And that's what he did. He took this message to his heart. And he spread the Krishna consciousness movement all over the world. He spread it for us, for you, me, and everyone. And he wanted us to continue his legacy and spread this Krishna consciousness movement further. If we can somehow or the other get attached to Srila Prabhupada, to his instructions, to chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, to reading Srila Prabhupada's books, and giving this Krishna consciousness to others, then we can make ourselves fortunate and make others fortunate also. So I would like to stop my presentation here. Are there any comments or any questions?
I would just like to say that it's really nice. And I just want to understand that the topic is attachment. So you are showing that the attachment towards the, like how the householder is attached towards the sense gratification, and then what is wrong, then what should be done, and then what are the benefits of it, right?
That's right. So we saw that how the attached householder, he's attached to sense gratification. And because he's attached to sense gratification, then that keeps him continuously here in the material world. But if the same attachment, if we can transfer it to the devotees, transfer it to the Supreme Lord, engage in chanting, engage in devotional service, in reading Srila Prabhupada's books, then how that same attachment can lead us out of this material world. So attachment is like a fire. Fire can be used to either cook or to burn. So if we are using it for sense gratification, we are using it to burn ourselves. But if we can use this attachment in the service of Krishna, if we can use this attachment to chanting the holy name, to reading Srila Prabhupada's books, then we can perfect our human life and get out of this material world.
And you also gave an example that was really nice of Narad Muni, because that purport 1.3.54, 1.5.34, it explained the whole thing. So I just noticed one thing, that when you said that somehow Narad Muni got, so was it that somehow, or was it that because he was giving service to them and eating the remnants, due to that he got attached?
Yes, so because his mother was serving these devotees, and so he used to help his mother. He used to help his mother, and so then he started serving the devotees also. And because he was simple and like, very simple boy, nice, sincere boy, he was serving. And then, yes, one day he did ask them, can I take your remnants? And they agreed to that. And he got very attached to these devotees. And they saw that he was also very sincere and eager. And by their mercy, he got the knowledge of the Supreme Lord.
Yeah. So very, very nicely organized in a systematic way it was. The presentation showed in a systematic way. If you can also add the example of the fire that you gave right now, that is also a very, very prominent one.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, very nice presentation.
Yeah, very nice.
Yeah, very nice presentation.
Thank you.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
actually, I could see that what we were, talking until yesterday about, you very nicely, connected everything with what we were talking about, that sambandha and abhideyas. I don't really remember those words you've been using, but I just saw the last few presentation slides that you showed, how that
Yes.
how Narad Muni got connected to, Krishna, attached to everything, gaining knowledge and faith, and how he got closer and he became a devotee. Yeah, this is so important
Yes.
to have the knowledge and have the faith, and then he personally comes and brings us closer to him. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for you could understand that that's sambandha, and then abhidaya to engage in devotional service, and prayojana, he saw the Supreme Lord face to face.
Yeah.
He developed his love for Krishna. Yes, wonderful.
You
Thank
finished
you.
it really well. I mean, you really showed that importance of knowledge and faith, and how Krishna personally brings him closer to him. Yeah, very well, very well.
Oh, thank you. And so now, what could be the fallacy? How could we misuse this? Is somebody might prematurely say, "Oh, so attachment is bad, so I'm going to leave my family and go away." Now, if we do that prematurely, if we are not completely established in devotional service, then we will become a nuisance in society. So Lord Chaitanya, when he was in South India, a Brahmana came to him, and the Brahmana told Lord Chaitanya, "I want to leave my family and follow you." Lord Chaitanya said, "You will please me more by staying where you are and chanting Hare Krishna and telling others to chant Hare Krishna. And that is how you can please me." So we may have our family lives, but doesn't mean we just drop them like hot coal, because then that could create a havoc. But we engage in devotional service, we chant the Hare Krishna mantra, we read Srila Prabhupada's books, and we encourage them also, seeing our family also as part and parcel of Krishna, connecting them to Krishna, giving them Krishna too. Yeah, because I have to also present how it could be misused. So I think this could be a way that we could misuse it, and which would not be very nice. And yeah. And then the reason why I chose this topic, is because I struggle a lot with attachment. I am very, very attached. And so I struggle a lot with attachment. And so, I thought if I can look deeper into it and try to get more attached to chanting the holy name, reading Srila Prabhupada's books, then it will be helpful for me too.
Sorry, I have a question. So you said
Yes,
that
please.
how the attachment you misused towards the Krishna, is it that you're trying
I'm
to
sorry.
say? Like
sorry.
you in the last, just now you mentioned that I also have to tell that how we misuse the attachment. So is it that the
we could
attachment
misuse what we just heard? So we could
so that's
misuse
what
by saying that, "Oh, now I'm going to leave my family. Oh, I'm going to go to hell otherwise. So I'm going to leave everything like a hot coal. And then, I'm just going to." But then we are not yet on that level. So Lord Chaitanya gave the example to the Brahmana that you stay where you are and you chant Hare Krishna and induce others to chant. And this is what Srila Prabhupada wants us to do. He wants us to take up the chanting and reading of his books with sincerity and take up some service. And encourage others to do it too.
Okay.
Yeah, very important point.
Yeah, very,
I
very,
think, yeah?
very important. Yeah.
Important point.
Like
to
even in
be
Gita, they say, no, that you
Yeah.
have to do your duty.
duties. Yeah.
Yeah,
You have to keep doing your
dharma is
duty.
very, yeah, that's true. Dharma is very important. There is no expansion without your duties. You don't do your duties, there is no expansion. You wouldn't gain much. Yeah.
Yeah, so because someone could, misuse what we just heard in that way. And so we
True.
don't want to do that either. We continue, we continue to hear and chant, continue to develop our attachment to Srila Prabhupada, attachment to the holy name, attachment to reading Srila Prabhupada's books.
So is there an example for that? Like, like you can put an example for that one also, like how you put the example of the Narad Muni. So like a example from the Bhagavatam, or no need?
That somebody who untimely
Yes, did that.
Well, Arjuna wanted to do it, and that's the
Yeah,
reason
so you can
Krishna
give that
spoke the
example.
Bhagavad Gita. Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. I could do that. Yeah, I could do that. Speak about that. Arjuna wanted to give up the.
No, I was thinking because you are doing from the Bhagavatam. So if the example is from Bhagavatam, no, or Gita
No,
would
I can
also
speak.
do.
Yeah, I can take like a
Okay,
example from
okay,
Bhagavad Gita
okay,
too.
okay,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah. So I am so
Sorry, you were
grateful to
saying
you.
something. Sorry, you were saying. Can you please complete that? That Arjuna untimely.
Because Arjuna wanted to retire untimely. He was saying, I'm not going to do my duty. I'm going to go to the forest. I'm retiring now. But Krishna told him, no, you fight for me. Do your duty and fight for me. And so after Arjuna heard the Bhagavad Gita, then he got attached to the instruction of Krishna. And he fought for the pleasure of Krishna. So first he was attached to his family members, but the same attachment, he transferred it to Krishna and he became glorious. That till today we are singing the glories of Arjuna.
Yeah, this completes it. Yeah, perfect example.
Yeah. So
very nice. Thank you. I think
thank you so much.
we are very blessed that we could listen this presentation of yours. Thank you for that. Yeah.
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to present. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.